for those who might not remember the entire saga, going way back to 2013, I believe it was, when Mt. Gox got hacked for a giant amount of Bitcoin, obviously worth much less back then than it is now. But it has been winding its way through the Japanese bankruptcy court as Mt. Gox's remaining assets get allocated to its debtors, or I'm sorry, to its creditors and to depositors. And now, almost a decade later, we're going to see what is now $3 billion worth of Bitcoin released to people who were account holders back in the day. They're finally getting it back. They're getting back a mix of actual Bitcoin, of Bitcoin Cash, which was a fork in 2018. So everybody who was holding Bitcoin at the time got some Bitcoin Cash. They're also going to get USD Cash. A lot of nuances there, but the main takeaway right now is that people are worried that that $3 billion worth of Bitcoin is going to hit the market and is going to have an impact because people will just sell it. I don't know exactly whether that's the way it's going to play out, but Will, what do you think?
Yeah, this is interesting, and it has historical precedent as well. So back in 2019, there was actually a mini bull run for Bitcoin. Bitcoin started off around 6K being there and went as high as 14K by that summer, but it was stomped out prematurely and actually caught a few different Bitcoin hedge funds in the wake of it because a large project dumped a bunch of Bitcoin to the open market. The name of the project escapes me right now, unfortunately, but there was a few different projects at the time that lost a bunch of their Bitcoin. And that led to, obviously, a huge supply gut on the market. People had to buy those coins back up, and the price of Bitcoin dropped as people were purchasing those Bitcoins because there's just too many to buy, right? Supply and demand at the end of the day. So we could have this very similar situation here where all those Mt. Gox coins are released onto the open market, and that pushes the price of Bitcoin down further. And I think it's important to note, right? We have this 21 million rule in Bitcoin. It's never going to surpass that. But that doesn't mean that the coins that are outstanding right now, about 19 plus million coins, are not distributed like evenly, right? There's some people who have a lot. There's some people who have a little. There's some that are locked. There's some that are lost. There's some that are lost right now, going to be found later. There's some that are, like in this case, locked up in a trust and are going to be sold onto the open market, or maybe they're just going to continue to be held. We don't really know. So oftentimes I think people look at Bitcoin's price and assume some sort of linear trend. But that's not the case, right? Because we don't really know where these supply pockets are hidden, and they only come to light every once in a while when the market matures or when interactions happen like this, where a court is able to move forward with these proceedings and liquidate some Bitcoin to the market. This would definitely be a blow to a lot of different parts of the crypto ecosystem. Bitcoin is still top dog. Wherever Bitcoin's price is, a lot of these other projects follow. If we see Bitcoin's price tank because of this general sell-off, then I think that would really hurt the market. But at the same time, it's inescapable, right? Regardless of when it happens, it has to happen at some point. So it might as well just happen now. Jen, I'm going to throw it over to you for your take.
To quickly clarify one thing, sorry. These are, most of the Bitcoin, I believe, are going to individuals rather than being liquidated by the administrator. So that's really important. But that leads to the question, Jen, I guess, would you sell Bitcoin if you suddenly got some right now?
I mean, I don't give financial advice, but probably not. I'm a hodler till the day I die. But I was going to say, I had so much to say about phishing scams, and then we finished that segment, so that's for another time. But the article mentioned the flippening, and I wanted to bring it back to that. So they said, as the price of Bitcoin gets lower and lower, and the Ethereum merge could be coming up soon, fingers crossed by the end of the year, could we see a flippening? And I wanted to take a vote with all of you guys. Do you think we'll see a flippening by the end of the year if the price of Bitcoin continues to go down?
I'll vote no. I vote no.
David says no. Wendy?
I'll be with David.
Is it contingent on Ethereum actually successfully merging over from POW to POS?
I mean, I think that's one of the factors. I don't know if it's contingent.
If it's contingent on that, then I would say there's a strong possibility. If it's not contingent on that, then I'll say no.
Okay, I'm going to go with yes.
Just if the merge doesn't happen,
only optimistic person on the show.
Sorry?
I said I'll continue to be the only optimistic on the show and go with yes, but David, to your point, if the merge doesn't happen, probably there's a chance of 0.
Yeah. But I don't think that this is going to be a determinative event, right? We have 3 billion Bitcoin going on the market. Some people like Jen are hodlers, and people who had coins on Mt. Gox in 2013, I think are above average likely to be hodlers, right? They're people who had faith very early on. Wendy, what do you think?
The only thing that I want to add to that is if I had money, if I had bought an asset, let's say 7 years ago, and it appreciated like a very, very, very big percentage, I would probably sell half of that asset so that I can, do nice things for my family, pay debt off, enjoy a good quality of life. That would be how I would go about it, because you never want to have too much risks exposed to anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it's also notable. I mean, certainly some people will sell. One thing that I heard that was interesting in terms of context is that, at least in the U.S., emerging markets are starting to have some real problems. But at least in the U.S., the economy, the employment situation is still fairly solid. So, Americans and others who have good incomes, have good jobs, there's not a situation out where a lot of people are desperate for capital right now. At least on a retail level, individual holders. If you're Three Arrows, you're going to dump those Bitcoin, but I don't know about that.
I gotta disagree with that, because I just kind of watching like real everyday people, even though people have great jobs right now and things look like it's good, it's really not good. Like I remember 2008, I remember seeing so many people that were a lot older than me that had 6-figure jobs. They lost all their jobs, and it happened really, really, really fast. So I am not as optimistic about the job market and about the numbers that everybody else is right now.
Yeah, that is definitely a debate that's ongoing. Now, the other question is, some of this is going out in the form of Bitcoin Cash. I think, do we need an explanation of Bitcoin Cash? It was a fork that was intended to make Bitcoin faster, that launched in 2018. What do you guys think about the Bitcoin Cash that's going to come out of this?
Not financial advisor, I would dump it.
Dump Bitcoin Cash. Okay, I'll take it up right there before we move over to the last story segment, GameStop. Bitcoin Cash has really been disappointment for, I think, even the Bitcoin Cash supporters ever since 2018. It's failed to live up to its promise. It really hasn't picked up any adoption. It's not a very secured network. And for those who are going to get Bitcoin Cash out of this, I'm wondering what they do with it. Not really, honestly. I think they're just going to dump it into a down market and push the price even lower. So I think we get a dumping of Bitcoin out of this as well, depending on who gets the Bitcoin eventually. Like either it's like hedge funds that have purchased the receipts for these Gox coins, or to individuals. We'll see sort of a split of that supply. But Bitcoin Cash, I would assume, is just going right down the tubes and turning into dollars.